The Cadillac CTS V, the top sports version of this upper mid-size segment sedan, is today on Autogefuehl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. We're going to take a detailed look at the exterior, interior and the driving performance, acceleration test, handling, a little bit sliding out, playing around with the car, tell you everything you need to know about the CTS in general. And of course here, the focus today on the CTS V. In full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. And we start our performance car review with the performance acceleration. Wow, that went pretty quick. I have to see that I get on the motorway safely. And second part. Wow, am I on a spaceship or what? That is so effortless. Whew. And I don't even feel, that much pressure on the body because the car does that so easily. Wow. Did you hear the sound, by the way? The sound was a little bit like, this probably came from the supercharger. Wow. So that was really impressive. I mean, so 3.6 seconds is the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And well, the BMW M5 we've tested recently is a little bit quicker with the all-wheel drive 3.4, but not such a big difference. So they really get a lot of just from the rear-wheel drive we have here. That's the more pure approach to it, and also they save about 100 kilograms if they don't put the all-wheel drive in there. So what do you think about the acceleration of the CTS V? You want to see it once more, I heard? Sure, why not? Wow. It feels and also sounds really unreal. And here, by the way, on the stability at very high speeds. So, sound insulation is still quite okay. So, driving 180 kilometers an hour now, but still I don't have to raise my voice that much. The suspension is, of course, that the suspension is stiff, keeps me on the road. Here, the steering wheel now at higher speeds feels a little bit dead in the very center. That doesn't give me the best control feeling. And what I also felt when I did the acceleration, there was a longer curve, and I stayed in the sport mode intentionally, and I already felt when you hammer it through that the rear does get somewhat a little bit loose. So again, I can only recommend you do not use the track mode on public roads. That really can be dangerous. Just was a little wet the road, not from some rain residue, and already can get very dangerous. But even more safe for you just to relax in your chair on the couch and watch Autogefuehl then. And now, our ride up the hill. Very smooth transitions from the 8-speed automatic gearbox. Classic converter. See here, the steering wheel is really very well aligned to the corners that are coming ahead. In the sport mode here already, when I give some throttle control, the rear comes a little bit around, just a little notch that you feel, hey, I really got a sporty touch here, but not that much that it would be too dangerous. However, of course, if I would really push the throttle, then I'm gone, especially as the roads are a little bit wet here already. So always bear that in mind for sure. And see what I mean? So I kept it here at lower speeds, but in the sport mode already possible if you really push the throttle to drift around the rear Oh, very nice handling. But again, be safe. Safety first also, especially in road driving. So I can even say rather stay in tour mode when you're on the street, that you know, EC is limited. I mean, 650 horsepower on the rear axle have to go somewhere. What a strong appearance in the front. Interesting again that Cadillac uses those vertical LED running lights. Xenon headlamps here. No LED available. Then the lower part carbon fiber spoiler lip. This is also the so-called carbon package. And we also have a dark frame around this massive meshed grille. The symmetry in the front, you can see that very well. Also nice number plate, right? You know, 6.2 liter of displacement. You get it? Really nice. And also in the carbon package is also those, you know, those carbon covers here for the front dome. And when you sit on the inside and the warm air is coming out there, you can really see that everything done to cool this V8. We'll soon take a look at that one. Around 5 meters or 16.5 is the total length of this vehicle, and is for sure also dramatic in the side profile. Here with a 19-inch black rims. They also come with this carbon package, then chrome frame around the windows. The design dropping line dividing in light and shadow is just at the height of the door handles. Press this knob here then for the keyless entry option. And well, everything else is basically the same with the normal CTS. Also this gradually falling roof line looks pretty elegant from the exterior, and of course then the difference, the carbon fiber wing at the very rear. I have to go outside, right? I always do that, don't I? Let's go. And that's the view from the rear here with the carbon fiber rear lip. So the big Cadillac logo. Here again this symmetry in the design, dividing both sides. Carbon fiber at the lower part also with the package, and then 4 real exhaust pipes. This is still the real deal, and of course a lot that's coming out of there. So a normal CTS you can also get with a 2-liter turbo engine, 276 horsepower. That would be the entry version for Europe, 45,000 euros. This one here, the CTS V, 6.2 liters displacement, V8, 650 horsepower, 3.7 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour, and well, then also 100,000 bucks. And now to the interior. Here already microfiber at the inside of the doors and carbon fiber pretty well processed. Then let's turn to the main cabin. Also microfiber steering wheel. I like that, gives a good grip. And the normal CTS, by the way, also available with full leatherette seats. Also very nicely done. Then here the V package basically comes with sport seats. Microfiber or velour on the inside. I don't think it's animal origin on the inside, on the outside maybe. Those ones here, however, are the optional Recaro sport seats. They give you more side support, especially in this region there, but generally I would say just leave it with the normal sport seats. That will give you a little bit more comfort, a little bit more room to play. And some more equipment inside. You will soon see the digital dashboard, therefore at the moment you can see nothing. And also the rear view camera and some more features already included. So this is really full spec then with the CTS V already. And let's get inside. Not too hard. I'm 1.86 or 6'1", and that leaves plenty of headroom. You can adjust that seat here electronically in all of the different directions. Also 2 memory functions. So press set and 1 at the same time, hold it, and then when you hear some beep beep beep, then you know it's saved. Steering wheel can also be adjusted electronically, so everyone will find a rather cozy position here. But already this whole setup here of the steering wheel and the seat really gives you a very sporty impression. So that's the difference then to the normal CTS. This one here really puts the sport mode out already from the seating position and especially from the seat form itself. But still it's somewhat comfy, so you can't complain about that. Interior overview, it is basically mirroring the exterior right here, also with this symmetry in the middle. Then you have those buttons, which are no real buttons, but they somehow still give you a haptical feedback. So if you also change the temperature, for example, you also feel and hear something. So this is something I think love or hate. Some really like that. Some say, I'm not sure how I can really use that. The screen is actually well integrated. You can see you also have the smartphone integration. Soon a little bit more details to that. Steering wheel again with the microfiber cover. The form is a little bit strange here, I would say. Not very well set up for the sump, but overall, I mean, you still have a good control. Also heated function is available. I really like that. And also those covers, I think that should be leatherette used here. Everything wrapped tightly, so the build quality really looks also very good. And to show you the full extent of the digital cockpit, I have to turn on the engine right there. Because then also the visualization changes when you go from 2 to sport mode. Oh, come on. There it is. So a little bit more contrast then for that. Left side you can see the consumption and stuff. This would be the track mode with reduced, even more reduced stability. Of course, with so much power on the rear wheels, it really goes loose. And then you also have a snow mode, for example, to reduce the throttle input. Volume, by the way, you can control at the steering wheel. Then you can mute the whole stuff, or control the volume here, right and left. But once it happened to me here that the automatic traffic announcement, it suddenly popped in. It was so extremely loud that it really damaged my ears. It was over maximum loudness. It was really hurting. Not sure whether this was the case. If you ever experienced something like that, then tell me. But it's, I think the sound system should be set up in a way that the maximum setting cannot be, exceeded. That really hurts your ears. Also, when the engine is running, I forgot that with the CT6, it's also offered that feature, the normal rear mirror when you, when you feel blinded or whatever, you can't see properly because it's not so good to see into the rear through that one. Then you also have the possibility to have the camera right there. It looks really fancy, but you can really argue for it. Is it maybe distracting? How useful is it? I will test it when we drive the car later and tell you my opinion then. And the infotainment up close, you can see here the Apple CarPlay, for example, but you can also go back to the home menu for the whole car. You could also connect your phone via Bluetooth if you like. And let's take a short look at the GPS, how we are here. You can also scroll in it, also here zoom and pinch. Takes some time, but overall, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Only thing when I wanted to search the sound settings here, mute again, sorry. Bose sound system here, by the way, included. It's good, but it's not super extraordinary. There are the tone settings. And one secret is a lot of car manufacturers always set the bass way up there to say, hey, it's got a great bass, yo. So, but no. I mean, a good sound system is not characterized by a good bass, but by the clarity of the sound. Carbon fiber here, nicely used, also all the way over to the side of the dashboard. Again, nicely done. Just a little bit strange that you have to open the glove box right here. I mean, that could have also been done just with a normal closing and opening mechanism. This is the button for the driving modes. I will explain you those when we drive the car. And by the way, a launch control is also available when you want to do that on a private racetrack. And the same accounts for this cover here. The first time I was mistaken and just wanted to put it open, and then, oh, I hope it did not damage any electronics, because just really gently push it and then it opens electronically. Come on, I think that's a little bit overdone, isn't it? The cup holders here also with adaptive function, so different sizes of bottles are hold tight. By the way, yes, it also closes electronically again. And the armrest opens sideways like this, and then you have 2 USB ports right there. You can put your smartphone there also for the smartphone mirroring connection. So what about the rear? The upper mid-size segment here, so also in the Mercedes E-Class, BMW 5 Series and stuff. I mean, those are pretty long cars already, but usually they don't have too much room in the rear. And the same accounts here, especially with those sport seats. Well, they have a nice microfiber cover on the rear, but then again, well, some space for my knees. I would tell the driver also to move up the seat a little bit, and I somehow sit pretty cramped in here. Very short bench. Headroom-wise is perfectly okay. I can even put more than my hand over my head. That's perfectly fine. But again, considering the length, it's not a good package. And no, again, the seating position here in the rear is also quite narrow with the shoulders. You do easily fit with 4 Ls in here, but it's surely not the strength of this vehicle. Here you can also flip the seat already, like this. That's easily done from here. Isofix points also to install those child seats here, and nice that we also have the microfiber inside of the seat in the middle, and we also have middle armrest with some storage space, and also, well, those ones are cup holders here in the front. There we are. Here we go, and they are also adaptive. Those shades here in the rear are also quite funny, just manual, we know that one, but then for the small window, oh, ain't that cute. It's funny, isn't it? But I mean, it protects you against the sun when you sit in the rear. Finally, the boot. Manual opening, and well, it's not too much space actually. So you can see here the opening is limited. 388 liters is the volume capacity. On this cover here we got some replacement kits and stuff. And well, you can see there's also a ski hatch available. And how does it look like when I go around and flip the seats? This is here the 2/3, you see 1/3, 2/3 split, but then again also just a hole basically to reach things through. How is this vehicle in your everyday driving life? So it comes handy to have the power when getting on the motorway, of course. We'll soon see that. For so far, I will just remain in the tour mode, dry roads, and at the moment just 90 kilometers an hour, and I really just have to touch the throttle very gently, and immediately you can do an overtaking maneuver without a glimpse of an eye, even in when you're in a comfort mode. That works really very fast. However, you can also use the shifting pads here, and then you're of course faster in overtaking maneuvers. You basically preset it yourself, shift down a little bit, or you can because the comfort mode is also shifting up earlier, you can also go then to the sport mode. That would still be a good compromise. You see also the instruments there change, and so you have a little bit more sporty touch then. Later shifting up, it stays in the lower gears. A little bit more spontaneous reaction. And I would also leave it by that, because then the track mode is really for the track, as it says. So that again also reduces stability control, and that's nothing then for public roads, which you should use if you want to keep yourself and also other people safe. What is quite remarkable that I've driven all of the competitors here. and the latest one with the BMW M5. And this one here feels, let's say, a little bit cozier from the racing position, steering and seating setup a little bit. And it looks really massive from the outside, but due to the sporty setup, it feels more agile and smaller actually than it is. And that is for a Cadillac actually a quite surprising verdict, that the car feels smaller than it actually is, because they tend to build really big cars, especially for, if you have a European measure for that then. It's great to have the microfiber steering wheel. That one also heated. I have it activated in winter times. It really keeps you warm, but you don't sweat on it. And with glove and without gloves, you really have a good grip then always on the steering wheel. So what about the overview? It's pretty interesting. Well, to the sides, pretty normal. The B-pillars are also somewhat standard for this segment. To the rear, you can't see anything basically through the normal function of the rear mirror. And that's why, and I missed that one in the CT6 review, you can change the rear mirror then, I've shown you that earlier, and then have the camera perspective. Then, well, before that, with the normal mirror perspective, I can see the roof and the heads of the cars behind me. It's not so helpful. And with the camera system, it's actually a little bit too low. I can see just, tires and the lower lip of the car. So, but what I would like to have is a normal mirror view where I can see exactly the middle part of the cars behind me. Well, that's obviously not possible here. It is, somewhat funny to look at the live view there while driving. Then you could also argue again, is that maybe a little bit distracting? And yeah, it might be. So I want to hear your opinion on that one again, especially by driving. It really looks very fancy, and it's a great show off, especially also for people sitting in, hey, I'm driving my cool CTS V and look at that feature, and everyone's like, oh my god, you're even cooler now. But other than that, for the real usage, I'm not really sure if that's the most useful feature. It is something we will get used to, however, also for the side mirrors, because for aerodynamic reasons, we've seen some concept cars which also support this idea to have the rear view cameras for the side mirrors. Here, by the way, we also have the blind spot monitor in the side mirrors, flashes up, small light with the vehicle and the star, and is acting when the vehicle is up, pretty close proximity to the side of the vehicle. So when I drive it in normal city life, it's actually quite comfortable to ride still. That's also a little bit better than with the ADS-V. The ADS-V, the segment below, a little bit stiffer even. This one here, of course, a little bit longer wheelbase. And with the adaptive suspension, it's doing a great job actually. So especially when you keep in the tour mode, it's still comfortable to drive in the city. That's perfectly fine. Let's see how that changes with sport. But it wasn't such a big difference. And well, with track, then it's even a little bit stiffer. And when you're going then to the bumps, you feel that you have the more direct feedback. But still, I tuned it in a way that it's still, still comfortable to drive it. Snow and ice mode is also available, and you should use that when it's winter times and you want to reduce the wheel spin. But it's just 650 horsepower just on the rear axle, and we've seen in the BMW M5 racetrack review how that one played out. That was pretty crazy, and you can do similar stuff with this car also. However, in the normal modes, traction control is still in, and that's also just a good decision basically, because we would be all over the place otherwise. This V8 engine is consuming a lot of fuel, although we have a cylinder on demand technology on the left side of the instrument, what you cannot see at the moment. It's very small. At the moment, for example, I'm rolling and it tells me V4. So basically half of the cylinders are shut off. So then, car is consuming less fuel. As soon as I push the throttle a little bit, all 8 cylinders are running again. So interesting technology-wise also. But even if you keep it rather calm, you know, I also did a longer test before that here, and it was always about 13 liters. And the CT6, the bigger car actually, but with the V6 we could drive with less fuel consumption. So this car, of course, more often sold in the US. So if you want to have the fuel consumption 13 liters / 100 km in MPG, then you have it. So we're slowly going to the motorway again, and so far I can just say, although it's such a super aggressive sports car from the outside, it is still a comfortable ride. You could say, you know, if you drive a normal CTS, it's already, you know, very comfortable upper mid-size segment sedan for sure. Well, those Recaro seats here, the base sport seats offer you a little bit more comfort. Those ones are caging you in a little bit more. Those ones then again included in this carbon package we've shown you today. So, but you know, it's actually quite okay, because sometimes with those very sporty versions of the cars, they really get uncomfortable and are basically not useful anymore. Even though you want a lot of horsepower, you still want to drive it, you know, in normal situation, not only on the racetrack. Not sure how many people will take this one here on the racetrack anyway. So I'm also seeing it in my head-up display. That's why I'm not looking down to the instruments. The head-up display is actually doing a quite good job. So I see a current speed, and also the speed is maximum allowed. It is an adaptive cruise control, by the way, because earlier, you know, I saw how you can set the distance as well. You can set it also in the digital instruments, and control and everything. It takes a lot of time to scroll through all those different options there. So again, this also shouldn't be done while driving. By the way, it's also possible if I hit this shifting lever to click on the manual mode here. So then your car's not shifting up automatically, and you can just click it again and you're back in the normal D mode. But then again, it's easier just to use the shifting pads, maybe shift down 1 or 2 or 3. Just hit the throttle just once, and this very sonorous V8 sound is bringing you forward again. If we cruise just on the motorway, we can of course bring down the consumption. That's basically with every vehicle. But you know, this is the automatic warning when I'm getting too close to the car in front of me. So this will be situations a little bit caged in now. I shift down, and then it's just so easy to accelerate with this vehicle. And because of the comfort you still have, you are not tempted that much to drive super fast, although you are actually capable to. That's also an interesting finding, because, you know, before we had the Honda Civic Type R, way smaller car, way less expensive, and also somewhat comfortable still for a sporty vehicle, but still always tempted you to drive you know, super aggressive. But this one here, although it is a super aggressive car, it's not necessary that you have to drive aggressive all the time. And that is also an interesting finding for me. By the way, also very stable here at higher speeds, and it feels a little bit like a go-kart still, although it's quite big. So it offers you a lot of driving fun and also a lot of dynamics. The steering wheel position is somewhat interesting because it goes a little bit inward, so the grip here is pretty unique. I'm not sure if it's the best grip position I have here for my hands. And here you can see I can also just, you know, be pretty relaxed. Collision alert. That's the collision alert that can be actually also set to different distances. So maybe it's also good to set it to a high distance, then you have your basic warning always. So, cruising here again, quite comfortable. The steering wheel offers you also quite direct contact to the road. We go here to the sport mode, a little higher speed by the way. It's always fun to see the digital instruments changing, isn't it? Sound insulation, by the way, so I don't have to raise my voice here that much, so I'm generally satisfied with it, definitely. So at 100 kilometers an hour, for most countries this one will even be enough actually. Only in Germany, you know, happens that people drive way faster also on the motorway. So sometimes people say, "Ah, I've just driven 260 kilometers an hour," and question that then, of course, how can human body even handle that? Well, better be a race driver then, but on the racetrack, not on the roads. So, those were the everyday driving life impressions here with the CTS V. And now to our conclusion for today. Well, exterior-wise, really dramatic. Price-wise, if you compare to the competitors, also still attractive. Abundance of power. We see a lot of nice features on the interior as well, especially with a lot of microfiber being used. It is still somewhat comfortable, a little bit more of course when you have the standard CTS, but still it's the upper mid-size segment which is actually famous for having one of the best comforts, and still the case here is you can still use it in your everyday driving life, well, unless you get to some bumps because the car is very low, and with the carbon fiber also in the front, you damage that quite easily. A lot of driving fun, and you just have to be cautious not to draw back the stability control too much, because when you have 650 horsepower on the rear, of course you can say it's basically too much. Most of the time too much than the traction than just physics can basically handle. So I hope you liked this insight here today. Also tune next time and leave me your comments.